Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? Won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to talk about us learning to be curious about crisis and not a victim. Okay? What do you mean, Phie? So, the natural programming to go into or to operate out of once we find ourselves in crisis, right, is to unconsciously move into the space of victim mode. This is happening to me. I mean, it could be happening to you, but generally, apart from that little bit of the crisis that you're focused on, that's, emotionally affecting you the most, there's always a bigger picture to it, and it's always a layered issue, right? Generally, it's a layered issue, and whatever crisis you find yourself in, be it with other people, be it with paperwork, be it with institutions, be it with whatever it is, it's a reflection of you in some way, shape, or form. A reflection of a decision you've made at some point. A reflection of a timeline you put yourself onto with something or someone that has now reached its decision point, or it's reached a point where you might have been faced with a decision at some point to, the choice to sort of divert and move off, but maybe you were that unconscious, to your decision or to your choice being available to you at some point along the timeline, that you went forward, that took you to a place where you would end up in crisis, right? Now, when you get to the point of crisis, we need to learn to not move into trying to control it all the time, right? Trying to release ourselves from accountability. And I know in most cases when you're still somebody who's, operating out of your ego, and you're somebody who might be unconscious about the fact that you move into victim mode, that the dialogue you have in your head is actually set on I'm a victim, right? Because until you take the time to go within, investigate, look within yourself and really, consider your own personal your inner dialogue. You're not going to be somebody who has naturally been programmed by the world to interpret and engage crisis or situations or people on the outside from a place of accountability. It's always from a place of defense, from a place of victim, of victimhood, and consciously or unconsciously, generally unconsciously, trying to find the route that will internally allow you to be in the perspective of running away. Well, maybe not running away, but internally justifying your actions and decisions that might be a reflection of you running away from accountability, right? I hope that made more sense. So, what Spirit wants you to understand is when you now move into a place in your experience, right, where you find yourself in crisis, sit down, do a little bit of breath work, understand that whatever it is that you might still be emotionally charged within you, that might have just happened, or that you find yourself still in after an extended period of time, and are trying to figure out how are you going to get out of it. maybe you need to take a step back, do a little bit of breath work, and take some time to investigate, right? Where is my perspective sitting right now with this crisis that I might be in? Is my inner dialogue, is it in a place of accountability, or is it in a place of blame? Am I talking to myself about it in a way, or am I perceiving things in a way? Am I explaining it in a way that's pointing the finger to something or someone else on the outside of me? And that doesn't mean now that the divine or somebody else has to be seen as pointing the finger at you. No. Detach yourself from the emotional things and be real with yourself. Where are my thoughts right now? How am I perceiving this situation or this crisis? How am I talking to myself about it? How am I relaying things to other people about it? Am I relaying things to other people about it, from the perspective over and over and over again of what someone else has done to me? This happened to me. They did this to me. Or are you actually, in a place of accountability? Generally, when you're in a place of accountability, you're not relaying a situation over to others on the outside. You're not mulling over it over and over and over again. You're not emotionally charged every time you think about it. Arguing with yourself inside, arguing with other people in your mind. Angry. All those emotions that, are coupled with feeling like someone has said something or someone has done something to you. How can you take some time to figure out where your head is at? And it's not saying that you taking accountability means that somebody may not have injured you. It means that somebody may have not been in the wrong. But in the same breath, you're in a situation because understand your reality and your life exists for you to grow from it. Exists for you to use your experience of the outside world as a reflection to self, right? So, once you've figured that out, are you in a place of accountability with the inner dialogue and your perspective and the lenses that you're, engaging the situation with? Or am I in a place of victimhood and blame? Once you establish that, you're going to be able to answer from a grounded place, with the true vision and perspective of a situation of, okay, so why are certain things falling apart? Why am I in crisis? What has happened? What decisions have I taken at some point along the way that have brought me to a place of being in crisis? Excuse me. What decisions have I taken? If my crisis is a result of what someone else may have, done to me, where along the way did I have an oversight issue with, my judgment or with my discernment when engaging with certain people? That, everything had to lead to the point of, me being injured so I can wake up to see what it is that I wasn't wanting to see or wanting to deal with or wanting to accept about something that may be within the next person. If I'm in crisis right now, and it has to do with paperwork, or with your debt, or with whatever it is, Am I blaming the outside world, or am I taking accountability for certain decisions I made along the way? Am I in crisis right now because I procrastinated somewhere along the way? I didn't hand the paperwork in on time. I didn't do the assignment when I didn't hand in the assignment when it was due. I didn't this, I didn't that. Right? Where are the issues in your own life trying to awaken you to you? Right? Generally, we don't need someone on the outside to tell us what is wrong. We just need to, as a starter on the surface, allow ourselves to awaken to where things are imbalanced on the outside, and humble ourselves enough, move out of our egos, and be willing to take accountability for the decisions that we make, for the habits that we find ourselves in. For the urges we go through that we can't resist. For our lack of self-control, our lack of restraint, our thought patterns, our inner dialogue, our spiritual disconnection, right? Our lack of discernment, our abandonment issues. Recognizing all of these things are part of taking accountability, because you're understanding, if you can take accountability for these things, if you can recognize these imbalances or things within yourself, you're able to understand the decisions you've made in the past that might have led you to a point of crisis in your present time, or that might be leading you to a place of crisis in your present time, that you may see coming or that may be coming, right? Excuse me. Right? Another perspective too, I've spoken about this before. We need to learn to cleanse ourselves and release ourselves from the programming so we're able to accommodate for a broader perspective of reality and be able to make decisions considering the different dimensions of reality and our lives and our experience that are existing at the same time and influencing different things within us, different things within our experience, as well as influencing others and how we engage and interact physically, spiritually, energetically with ourselves, with others, as well as the spiritual realm, right? All of these things are operating at the same time, are influencing us and our experience at the same time. Being stuck in our linear mind and stuck in the programmings and stuck in the illusions of false security that the system has you relying and dependent on, all contribute to us struggling, to people struggling to deal with themselves, take accountability, and have full understanding and perspective of how to deal with and digest and perceive things when they're in a place of crisis. What happens, the system then programs you because they understand, so they get you dependent. They understand on a higher level. This is a multidimensional thing, right? The system understands that if you're stuck in linear mind, if you're stuck in their programming, if you're stuck in their ways that they've programmed to you on how to perceive life, how to deal with the world, how to be a victim in times of crisis, how to deal with your emotions, how to always be unconsciously in a place of feeling threatened and in defense mode, not being able to trust yourself or anything on the outside of you. This is all stuff that's programmed and woven into your perspective of and your lens of life and yourself over time. Most people don't even realize that they're existing in this state, which is why they can't even, it becomes a norm for them that they can't even recognize where to begin, or to recognize where all this programming and where the linear mind and the linear way of thinking and the victimhood is actually affecting them and having an impact on their lives. And it keeps their vibration in the exact same place that everybody else is in around them. So there's no one around them as well that's going to actually awaken them to these things, to make them question, to make them go within, right? To make them somehow be able to also recognize it and discern and pick it up in somebody else. So once you've established whether you're, curious about, in a place of being curious and accountable with your crisis, or are you in a place of being, a victim and blaming, right? Then you ask yourself, where are things falling apart in my life? Why are things in crisis? You'll be able then to have a true understanding of where and why, and not a distorted one that has you making hasty decisions, has you making decisions that always need to involve something or somebody else on the outside, has you making decisions of putting yourself into places of dependency, or being controlled by somebody else, right? After, you've put yourself into a position of feeling like you owe the next person something. Right? So once you've established that portion of it all, then you can start moving into the next consideration of the entire thing, right? Of your crisis. Where could the divine be playing a role? Where could the divine actually be working in the energetic and spiritual realm? Moving things around, influencing things in my life that could have actually, led to crisis. Where could the divine have been actually leading and guiding my decisions to move into this crisis, to awaken me to something of myself? Maybe things needed to change. Where have I been stagnant? What areas of myself are is this crisis actually challenging? Where is it challenging my fears? Where is it challenging, sorry about that, where is it challenging my habits? Where is it challenging the areas of my life that have been stagnant? Where is it challenging the aspects of myself in my life that, maybe I haven't been too aware, that haven't been growing? Where is it causing me to grow? Where is it having me push through certain, restraints, not restraints, but certain restrictions and barriers that I have within myself? Where is it breaking mental defenses up that are actually, holding me back and hindering me, or holding me back from making decisions that would actually move me into a place that I need to be? Where have I gotten comfortable? Where is this crisis actually bringing change? Because when you can recognize those areas and those things as well within the crisis that you find yourself, again, you move yourself out of the space of being a victim, right? And you move your perspective into a place of being accountable, because you're recognizing that your crisis might actually be here for you. Your crisis might actually be awakening you to something, might actually be aligning you to something that had nothing changed, had everything stayed stagnant, had nothing happened to actually elevate your perspective or awaken you to a new perspective in a situation. You might have missed something else that's coming ahead of you that you needed a higher perspective for, that you needed to find to gain the experience out of being in a certain type of crisis, to be able to handle and incorporate into your decision making in the future. Right? So there's a lot more, and it's always a multi-dimensional issue, and we don't need to always look at crisis as, the worst thing. I know that, we've been programmed into all this drama and fear and dependency, right? And this thing of always needing saviors in different forms. It's crazy, actually, how they've layered all of these programmings and dependencies, and wrap them up in somehow justified reasonings of fear, right? Different forms of fear that come in different wrappings around all the reasonings for things. And it impacts all kinds. It impacts different areas of our lives and our decision making, and also just the energy that we exist in and that we project out into the world, and the frequency we're in, and the spaces that we restrict ourselves to existing in as well, right? And the people. What is your crisis dismantling in your life? And is your crisis something that is, more difficult to get through because you're trying to hold all the things together that this crisis has actually been positioned and created and, divinely put into your life to dismantle something that just isn't meant to be there anymore? Dismantle a relationship, break down an illusion, ignite the perspective that is needed, right? So all of these things, this is how you become proactive with the things in your life. This is how you make it about you, right? And not fixate on things that have already happened. Not fixate on things that you can't change. Not fixate on where you want to, soothe your, soothe the illusions that you have, but by being in the space of a victim, with always wanting to, blame somebody else or find the reason why someone else is the reason, or something on the outside is the reason. Crisis isn't always bad, and you don't have to be emotional. Be, detached from it. Recognize that your outside world is not your master. Your outside world is not your God. Don't let appearances become your God. You connect with your God and the divine within you. Okay? It's within you. Your God, the divine, guides and moves you from within, not on the outside. Outside is just appearances. So be clear with yourself as well on the kind of power you give to appearances. Be clear with yourself on how you fixate within on appearances, and allow it to just, cloud and dictate yourself, your mood, your decisions, your relationships, your attachments. I think this is something that I will touch on again in the future. But I think for now I've communicated what I think I need to, or been guided to. And yeah, I hope it's comforted. I hope it's helped you, if you're in a place of crisis, sort of step back, release a little, and allow the divine to participate. Allow a higher perspective to also, be possible and play a role in your decision making. And it's okay to just allow the outside to be. It's okay to allow appearances to just be what they are, appearances, right? The only place you need to do something generally is with yourself on the inside. And most times if you shift your perspective, you'll find your solutions. You'll stop being afraid of trying to control everything on the outside. You'll learn to remove the emotions from things that have been, programmed to you to perceive as a crisis. And with a completely linear mind, not able to consider any other things, factors on the outside or even energetically and spiritually that might be playing a role. And you can only consider those things if you're willing to detach a little, willing to open your mind, willing to also consider the hand of the Most High and the Divine in your life, willing to awaken to yourself. So, yeah, Spirit, I'm going to read a card today from the guidebook by Sonia Juket, like Trust Your Vibes guidebook, and see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give whoever's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Spirit, may I please have one card? Call on your healer, guys. Like I said, be willing to include the divine in whatever it is that's going on. Okay. 9 times out of 10. I want to say 10 times out of 10. We'll just leave that one over there. 9 times out of 10, the divine has a hand in whatever may, at first glance and at first triggered emotion and at first thought that you've grabbed onto, right? At first glance, it may seem like it's just what it looks like. But in most cases, you can surrender and you can understand that the divine is probably got a hand in whatever is going on in your life right now. And there's probably something bigger working itself out, in most cases, to your favor. But you also have to be willing to play your part. Okay, you have to be willing to become aware. And you have to be willing to understand that you're not operating in isolation. Okay? You're not operating in isolation and you're not alone. Ever. Okay? Let's see what the book has to say. Number 14. Okay, I got it. The book says, although you may be challenged with physical, emotional, or psychic imbalances at this time, I love when the card comes out and just supports what we're talking about perfectly. Do not fear. You have a team of divine healer guides committed to helping you. Turn your fears and concerns over to them and ask them to eliminate dissonance and dis-ease in your body, mind, and spirit, whether known or unknown. If you have specific health problems, ask your healers to work on that part of your body or mind. If you're concerned about the health of others, ask your healer guides to join with healer guides to join with theirs to restore them to good health. Even a simple prayer for someone goes a long way. It's a nice positive energy you're sending over. Trust your guides and follow their lead. They work in many ways, but above all, they work with you to help. They work with you to help yourself. They don't do the job of healing you alone, but assist you in taking a proactive role in your soul's well-being and your body's strength and vitality. You'll know you're on the right track by the ease and grace with which things flow to you. Right? So don't stagnate energy. Don't be resistant to things that are happening on the outside. Let things on the outside be and happen. The outside is a creation of yours that you started at some point, and you're seeing it now come to its end, right? If you're in crisis, a change needs to happen somewhere within you, within your behavior, within your thought, within your way of doing things. And if you don't get the message this time, you're going to be faced with the same thing again in the future. You're going to make the same decisions if you haven't addressed it in this crisis, and you're going to find the crisis or the issue again ahead of you, okay, until you get it. So don't be stubborn, don't be resistant, and don't be in your ego, okay? Whatever you think others are going through and have within themselves, I've said it in my past videos, you also have it going on within you. So don't deny things because your ego tells you that, you're too good to have something or go through something. Okay. So thank you, Spirit. I'm glad this has really also supported us. And yeah, family, I hope it's resonated, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye.